Imba ulimi inalinganishwa pia na sumu. Inaweza kuwa sumu in another way. Huenda unaweza kuwa sumu kwa watoto wako, unaweza kuwa sumu kwa tajiri, unaweza kuwa sumu hata kwa family, ama unaweza kuwa sumu katika nchi, unaweza kuwa sumu kwa situation ambayo uko ndani, kwa ile community uliosaliwa ndani, kulingana na ulimi ambayo Mungu amekubariki nayo. Kwa hivyo tufanye namna gani? Ishi katika kumwokopa Mungu, maana wewe maisha yako iko numbered. Huko katika hii dunia kwa siku chache, miaka ni michache. Kwa hivyo tumkumbuke Bwana Mungu wetu ili maisha yetu tuyamalize vyema. Wewe mzee, wewe mama, wewe kijana, tumheshimu Mungu ili Mungu atutie afya njema, na yale ambayo tunayanena Mungu aweze kuyasafisha na kusema kwamba huyu ni mtu ambaye nilimjenga kwa mfano wangu, afurahie, ajifunie maumbile aliyoiweka duniani. Nataka nimalize nawe na hiyo andiko ya Ayubu. Utakapoenda kusoma, usome chapter number 27 verses 4, utapata ya kwamba kuna pia vinywa vya haki. Vinywa vya haki vikiwa mahali hupikwa vita. Wenda umepikwa vita katika haki unayoifanya, umepikwa vita katika haki ya kazi, umepikwa vita katika situation ya hatua ambayo umechukua kwa sababu ya haki. Watu wengi ambaye sasa tunawaona wameokopa kutoa haki. Nami nataka nikwambie, kinywa cha haki Mungu anakipenda. Nataka nimalize nawe nikisema, ukiwa wa haki, tia ulimi wako imani ya kuendelea. Wacha niombe nao mwenye haki. Na wewe usiye wa haki katika ulimi wako, rejea upande wa haki. Mwenyezi Mungu aliyeumba mbingu na nchi, naomba na kwa wote wa vinywa vinaonena uongo katika dunia, vinaonena mabaya kwa wenzao, na nena kufanikiwa na kubadilishwa ndimi hizi, ili watu wako Baba tuishi katika haki. Na kwa jina la Yesu Kristo naomba nikiamini, amen. Majina yangu narudia tena, ni Askofu Francis Mayabi wa kanisa la Evangelical Gospel Ministry, nikiwa upande wa Nairobi, Kibira, Uduku, na Bwana awatende mema.
Hii ni KBC Radio Taifa.
Kila kitu maishani kina sauti yaleta furaha.
Radio.
Sauti ya elimisha, yahimiza, yatuleta pamoja. Sauti ya Kenya.
Radio Taifa. Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
For the sake of doing justice, I have to ask you again. Did you have any accomplice in this scheme of yours?
Who wins at this game? But one thing is certain, that this time it is now or never.
What was the need for you to betray my trust?
You would have offered everything at my feet? Really? Then why did you not crown Justin as the emperor?
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Trying to advise you to do is to start this from scratch and then see what happens from there.
Because I am old enough to date whomever it is I want.
But you are living in my house. Therefore, abide by the rules.
Would want to buy his shares. Wouldn't it be better to keep Manuel's shares in our family?
This is Constanza Olazaba, my girlfriend.
Hiya! Matumish! Niwa!
wewe? Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mlitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. Sio tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Good afternoon and welcome to Channel 1 Lunchtime News on this Saturday. I say a Saturday as Kiambu constituents and Kenya at large following the death or the demise of MP Paul Koinange. We will be getting much deeper into that. But of course, welcome. We also have business, local news, and also sports. My name is Njue. Remember, we're coming to you live from all our social media platforms, and including Kenya Broadcasting Corporation right here at Broadcasting House. My name is Njue, and our sign language interpreter will be Lucy Mwaura for this afternoon. And we begin straight from Parliament building, where the members of the National Parliamentary Security Committee are addressing the press following the demise of Paul Koinange. Let's listen in.
Segregated anyone when it came to service. Sisi twasema kuna mti. In our language we say there is a mugumo that has fallen today. And we are all hurt. Mugumo ambao umeenda. Na vile vile tunasema there is a whole library that understands this country that has fallen today. Na tunasema Mungu amweke pahali pema peponi, tutaendesha hiyo kazi yake. There is a bill he had already sponsored in this parliament on as a matter of security. As a committee, we will make sure that we continue and further his agenda to see a better Kenya, a Kenya where everybody is respected, a Kenya where we consider ourselves as one. Asanteni.
Thank you. Honorable Raza, please. Today as a committee, we mourn a fallen hero. Not a hero because he was our chairman, but because he was a dedicated and true servant of the people, whose main focus and dedication was to ensure that our police force and the environment in which they live in enabled them to perform their duties to the highest potential. Honorable Koinange spent many days visiting all the police stations in our counties just to see what the problem or the issues were that force probably not perform to the best of their ability. The last trip that Honorable Koinange made was to Garissa, where he visited the police stations. But alas, before he could give his report, he was taken ill, having contracted the coronavirus. The committee today passes their condolence to the family of Honorable Koinange, and we know and we believe that whatever he started, that would be treated better and be looked after better to enable them serve every Kenyan the way they're supposed to serve. This committee will continue with that endeavor and will ensure that in the honor of Honorable Paul Koinange, our police force will realize the benefits that Paul Koinange always fought to ensure that they realized. We apologize to Kenyans, and we'd like to let Kenyans know that COVID is real. It takes the best, it takes the youngest, it takes the oldest, it takes the richest, it takes the poorest. Let us observe all the protocols of COVID.
Thank you. Honorable Kaunya is a close friend and a family, a friend to the late Honorable Koinange, and I will want to give him the opportunity to say something as well.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair and members of the press. We are here today, sadly, very sad for the loss of our Chairman, Administration and National Security Committee in Parliament. Honorable Koinange was a very close colleague, friend, and member of Parliament. We have worked closely with him, and we have learned a lot from him about the kind of patriotism, exceptional patriotism that he exemplified in his character and the way he was doing things. Honorable Koinange worked with everybody, and he was friendly to every member of Parliament. It did not matter which political party one belonged. And this is the kind of leadership he exemplified, where we have learned quite a lot. Honorable Koinange, as my colleagues have indicated, was determined to have a public service, a police service, and a prison service that is reformed, that gives services to the ordinary wananchi as is expected. So he went out all his way, and we have toured with him across the country in order to discover where we can fix the issue of service delivery. On behalf of myself, my family, I wish to pass my message of condolences to the family of Honorable Paul Koinange, who has left us sadly, and pray that God rest his soul in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I think Mheshimiwa Kaluma, I'll take like 10 minutes.
I just want to convey my condolences to the people of Kiamba. Honorable Koinange was a father figure to all of us. I remember when we went to Israel and United States of America, he really took care of us. We are going to pay mark on Kenya Coast Services, which has been established in Kenya. That is his brainchild. The issue of psychosocial issues facing the police in Kenya, that is his brainchild. And we have engaged psychologists to take care of psychosocial issues of the policemen and women in this nation. We are here to say, Honorable Koinange, we loved you. We are here to say, the people of Kiamba, we loved our chair. We are here to say, rest in peace. May the peace of the Lord be upon the wife of Koinange, the children, and the entire people of Kiamba.
Say something.
Indeed, quite a somber mood there at the Parliament buildings, where members of the National Parliamentary Security Committee are eulogizing or even remembering their chairman, Paul Koinange, who actually was the Member of Parliament for Kiamba. Remember, he was also the chairman of the Security Committee at the National Assembly. Some of them talking about how he helped in reforms in the National Police Service, which they are currently, the police and all the security forces are currently enjoying. Of course, we'll be bringing you up to speed on that report, keeping a keen eye, including all people who have condolence or who have had anything to say when it comes to Paul Koinange. Moving on, hundreds of Kenyans are now turning up for the COVID-19 jab, with calls on the Ministry of Health to consider enlisting health centers. The locals dismissed claims that the vaccine had serious side effects, saying they have heard testimonies from those already vaccinated.
These were the scenes witnessed at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital. Hundreds of residents turned up to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Shabir Bia, an elderly Kenyan of Asian origin, said getting the vaccine was a way of preventing COVID-19 infections and urged Kenyans to take the jab.
To me, I got it now. I don't feel anything. I feel completely okay. And I would like to say to the public and wananchi of Kenya to take this opportunity which the government is offering us for vaccination.
The locals said, despite misinformation regarding the safety of the vaccine, they had not experienced any side effect after being vaccinated.
Wananchi wote kwa jumla mahali ambako wako wajitokeze ili waweze kupata hii chanjo, manake tunaangalia afya yetu, tuje to boost immunity yetu kwa hii chanjo.
Elsewhere, a section of leaders in Laikipia want the local administration to enlist local dispensaries to administer the jab. The move came as locals scrambled at the Nyahururu County and Referral Hospital to receive the COVID-19 jabs.
Na nimefurahi sana kwa vile nimefurahi kwa sababu sikusikia ushugu. Nilifika hapa kwa saa 4. Na mimi nimefurahi kwa sababu Mungu asaidie, kwa sababu vile serikali imetusaidia, zaidi ya yote ni Mungu.
Led by Igwamiti Ward MCA Joseph Kiguru, they lauded residents for accepting to receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
Watu kwa sababu wamejitokeza kwa wingi. Ni ombi langu kama serikali ya kaunti tuhakikishe ya kwamba chanjo zetu zipelekwe katika hospitali zetu za anati ama dispensary level, kwa sababu kulingana vile nimeona watu watateseka kupanga line. Unakuta watu zaidi ya 200 wako kwa line, na ili watu wasishoke, ningeomba tuipeleke katika kiwango cha dispensary.
Elsewhere, Narok County Government, Narok County Governor Samuel Oletunai says he is consulting with the national government for renewal of contracts for 360 health workers employed in the region. Oletunai says the current 3-year contracts are about to end and they need them renewed to ensure a need for review to ensure continuity of services. Oletunai was speaking at the Narok County Referral Hospital after flagging off consignment of medicine worth 40 million shillings to 205 hospitals, health centers and dispensaries in 7 sub-counties in the region.
Mwananchi wa kaunti hii anapata huduma ya afya kwa mahali karibu. Hiyo ndio sababu we are putting up this hospital, referral hospital. And we are going to ensure it is well equipped. As we speak, nimeagiza tayari equipments from the United States of America, including the MRI for this hospital. You don't get MRI anywhere.
And now to a top story at the moment. President Uhuru Kenyatta has sent a message of condolence to the family and residents of Kiambaa constituency following the death of their Member of Parliament, Paul Koinange. The legislator succumbed to COVID-19 related complications while receiving treatment at the Nairobi hospital.
In his message of comfort to the family of the late Paul Koinange,
President Uhuru Kenyatta said Kenya has lost one of its dependable leaders whose undivided focus was the unity, stability and progress of the country. Until his death, Koinange served as Member of Parliament for Kiambaa and Chair of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on National Security, where he was the chairperson. President Kenyatta said the late Koinange will be remembered for advancing legislation and policy interventions that sought to create a peaceful, stable and tranquil nation. Deputy President William Ruto, in his message of condolence, said Koinange was a dependable, illustrious and visionary figure who worked for the people of Kiambaa constituency with diligence. Ruto further eulogized the late Member of Parliament as a progressive and selfless politician whose exceptional servant leadership will be missed. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i also mourned the death of Koinange, describing him as a father figure and great model of a Christian leader. ODM leader Raila Odinga, in his eulogy, described the late Kiambaa Member of Parliament as a diligent and dependable leader. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, controversy continues to surround the use of the Russian COVID-19 Sputnik V in the country. The cloud of dust has been kicked off by some prominent Kenyans who are splashing their photos on social media receiving the jab, which the Ministry of Health says has not been given a green light in Kenya, but approved by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. Purity Musel with that report.
The national COVID-19 vaccination program has taken a different turn as a number of people, including two prominent lawyers, Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi and Donald Akib Korir, announced that they were inoculated with the Sputnik V vaccine. The two posted photos on their respective social media platforms of them getting vaccinated at what looked like the same location and by the same health worker. On Tuesday, Deputy President William Ruto also released photos of himself and his wife Rachel Ruto getting vaccinated by the health worker spotted inoculating the two lawyers days after he missed out on last Friday's jab session at State House, Nairobi, where President Uhuru Kenyatta led senior government officials to get the jab. The Russian embassy in Nairobi has distanced itself from the COVID-19 Sputnik V vaccine. The embassy confirmed that Sputnik V vaccine was in Kenya, but said it was imported by a private company on a commercial basis. The Ministry of Health officials have been championing the distribution, use and access of AstraZeneca vaccine, saying they are yet to decide on the rollout of the Sputnik V vaccine in Kenya.
We have seen those adverts. Those adverts are false. There's no current pharmacy or hospital in the country that has a Sputnik V vaccine with them. And through the emergency market authorization, it is actually illegal for a facility to advertise and to say that it has that commodity.
Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Now shifts focus to education matters, where Early Education Principal Secretary Julius Juan has called for mental and physical support to teenage mothers during the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. The PS say the teenage mothers are facing a number of challenges navigating through parenting and exams, which calls for compassion from all involved. He was speaking on Wednesday while overseeing the ongoing Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination in Kiambu High School.
Our young girls who could have been pregnant because, are already having a little distress. The best we can do is to let them sit the exams. We don't want to make them the focus of discussion because we cause them a lot more anxiety. So I think the best thing is to let them sit the exams in peace. Then after the exams are over, then we can now start addressing issues of pregnancy. For now, please let's give them space, let them sit the exams, and let us wish them well. Let's protect them and wish them well. Really. So even by the time we were having the disruption, you'll be surprised that a lot of the syllabus was already covered. So we don't expect anything out of the ordinary. We just tell the country to be comfortable, to relax. The exam will come out well and the learners will get what they deserve.
And at about 17 minutes past the hour, we are taking our first break. But when we come back, I will be engaging the CEO of Jumia so that we may know a lot, and especially the online and e-commerce when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic and their customers. We will be getting that when we come back. But let me appreciate Nicodemus Yata watching from Mombasa, Musimi Catherine, you're watching from live from UAE, Bernard Ngeno watching live from Kaptarakwa, Elgeyo Marakwet County, Brian Toli, you're also tuned in. Let's have that breakfast.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii lazima nishike kwa simu yako, bonyeza *811 *962 hash.
Lazima nishike mapema. Nisiposhika hii simu mapema utakasirika. Unajua mimi nikiwa mtu ya marathon najua niko na experience kabisa. Niko na experience. If you don't hurry, you will not break the record. Okay, wacha nishike hii simu.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii bonyeza *811 *962 hash, *811 *962 hash.
Next on
Unywaji wa pombe kupindukia.
Bebe.
Pablo.
Bebe.
Pablo. Ini nani?
Babe.
Hai.
Jamani, Adaka, umepikia watoto? Acha nipite tafadhali.
Nyumba yako ni pombe, watoto wako pombe.
Mori. Hili nini buda? Wani lawama nini? Sana unakujaje hapa na nini?
Wauzia wanafunzi wa shule pombe, na huo ni ungwana?
Welcome back, and thanks for keeping it Channel 1. And right now, let's first of all bring in the CEO of Jumia, Sam Shapate, of course, to help us delve much more into the online and e-commerce. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And perhaps we can start with how the e-commerce has been, and especially now that we have COVID-19 in the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to see the evolution for sure. You know, over the last year, we've seen a big shift in behavior, customers starting to buy everyday products, your food products, your household products, more and more online. And turning to the service more as a critical service, as opposed to, and part of the everyday life, as opposed to something that you use once in a while.
And let's get to e-commerce when it comes to food. What is Jumia doing to support? Of course, we have had restaurants shut down and hotels. What is Jumia doing to chip in to help fill in the void during this period?
Yeah, it's a tough time for restaurants, for hotels, as you mentioned, across the country, with the restrictions that have come through. I think everyone understands it. It's a question of what can we do to save jobs. We as an industry, we as Jumia are there to provide services to restaurants and to hotels, and allowing them to do good quality home delivery. So customers can come onto Jumia Food and order from their favorite restaurants, but also order from their favorite grocery stores or supermarkets, so they can avoid the crowds, stay home, and in doing so, you know, save jobs at these restaurants.
And by your estimation, perhaps by what percentage has delivery of food spiked during the period when you do comparison before COVID-19 and now?
It's definitely growing quickly. We've seen, we've seen the restaurant side quite disrupted. I mean, growing well, but a bit disrupted given the evening curfews. And you have to remember that 50% of sales from restaurants happen in the evening meal time. And so that's the piece that's been somewhat disrupted on the restaurant side. The piece that's growing even faster is the grocery home delivery. So people choosing to avoid malls, avoid supermarkets, and order from their groceries home. That's growing very, very quickly.
How has the partnership with restaurants, perhaps and hotels, been? And perhaps in terms of figures, can we have a rough idea of how you've partnered and how many restaurants perhaps you've partnered with?
Sure. I mean, over the last year, we've increased by about 50% the number of restaurants that are selling on the Jumia food platform. That's both in Nairobi, but also in other major towns that we're starting to expand into on the Jumia food side. In Mombasa, Nakuru, Kisumu, we're starting to grow there and to onboard key restaurants there. So we're up to about 500 restaurants in the country today.
And have you perhaps introduced contactless deliveries, and we of course have to follow all the COVID-19 protocols?
Yeah, absolutely. So whether it's on Jumia Food or on Jumia, all of our riders are trained on contactless delivery and cashless delivery. And what that means very practically is, it's safe to order online. I think that's the key point. The rider keeps a safe distance from you as they're handing over the packages, whether that be food or products. You're doing so in a way that prevents any contagion.
In the last couple of weeks, we've witnessed, or the last 2-3 months, we've witnessed a spike in the prices of oil in the country, which has really put a strain on Kenyans. Do we expect perhaps you will also increase the delivery fees, owing to the fact that, of course, your riders have to use fuel and your vehicles as well?
No, I mean, one of the things that we're trying to do as we continue to grow is to actually reduce the cost of delivery. And so in many places, delivery fees are going down on the Jumia food platform as well as on the Jumia platform. So that's a trend that we hope to continue, prices going down rather than up.
Of course, when you talk about food delivery and online food business, it's quite a delicate balance, especially now with that we have COVID-19. What do you think the government perhaps should do more to support and boost such initiatives like Jumia Foods?
I think probably the most pragmatic thing that could be done to save jobs is to allow restaurants to do home delivery for the evening meal. As I mentioned, about 50% of revenue for restaurants is the evening meal. And so the time that we set curfew or allow operations for restaurants to continue has a very big impact on the number of jobs that we save in the restaurant industry. And so I think shifting back the timeline, allowing restaurant staff and delivery riders to operate, say, till 9, till 10 p.m. would have a very big difference in terms of the jobs that we can save for the industry.
Perhaps as we wrap up this, what is the future of e-commerce, and especially when it comes to food? A lot of Kenyans are skeptical when it comes to food. They need everything handled right. Of course, there are taxes. So what is the future of e-commerce, and when it comes to food? Of course, in developed countries, the business is quite robust.
Yeah, I think we're going to see rapid growth in fast delivery, 20, 30-minute delivery of groceries, including fresh products. I think that's going to start to expand in every town around Kenya, so people can order their groceries within 15, 20 minutes. And we're going to see also a significant number of sort of more affordable meals growing on these different platforms, so that people can order not only once a month for a big occasion, but your 150, 200 shilling meals will become more widely available too.
Indeed, thank you so much. Meals on Wheels it is, and of course it has been a very interactive Q&A session. Thank you indeed so much, Sam, for making time for us, and of course wish you all the best and the same.
Thank you.
I've been speaking to Sam Shapate, who is the CEO of Jumia Kenya, just trying to look at the e-commerce here in the country, and especially when it comes to Jumia Foods. Well, moving on, the Naivasha Law Court has been temporarily closed after one member of staff tested positive for COVID-19. In a statement to Newsroom's acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu said the court will be closed for 10 days. The decision follows the recommendation of the leadership and management team and court users committee at the Naivasha Law Courts. Mwilu said in order to curb any potential spread of the virus, the judiciary personnel will go into 10 days of self-isolation. Naivasha Law Courts has 38 judicial staff, 6 judicial officers, and 1 judge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Focus on matters security, where 3 terror suspects have been arrested in Lagdera, Garissa County, with a cache of weapons including AK-47 rifles, 2,004 bullets and 20 liters of petrol. Elsewhere, holders of illegal firearms in Isiolo, Meru, Samburu and Marsabit counties have been ordered to surrender them willingly to government authorities or risk facing a forceful disarmament exercise.
Police in Lagdera, Garissa County have arrested 3 suspects with 8 AK-47 rifles, 2,004 bullets and 20 liters of petrol. Police claim they spotted the 3 along Marachi Malmin Road in a white Toyota Succeed car, registration number KCY 953L. According to police, Abdirizak Mohammed, 24, Jimale Abe Mahamoud, 21, and Nur Ibrahim Alaso, 30, behaved suspiciously when they were asked to pull over their vehicle and drove into the bush to avoid police check.
Na liposachi hiyo gari ndio wakapata hizi punduki. Ni punduki 8, zote ni aina ya AK-47, wale mnaweza ona, na iko na magazini zake 8, na kulikuwa na risasi 2004.
Northeastern Regional Commissioner Nicodemus Ndalana said investigations are underway to unmask where the suspects were coming from and their intentions with the weapons.
Zingine ukiangalia kama hii nimeshika, hii inatumiwa na SNA. Sisi hatutumii. SNA ni ya Somalia, jeshi ya Somalia ndio wanatumia hizi punduki. Hii aina hii hatuna hapa Kenya.
He praised the police and a multi-agency team from nearby security stations in Mogodashe, Afueni and Malmen for acting swiftly. Meanwhile, holders of illegal firearms in Isiolo, Meru, Samburu and Marsabit counties have been ordered to surrender them willingly to government authorities.
Kisheria, wale ambao wameruhusiwa kuwa na bunduki tu ni maafisa wa serikali, polisi ama usalama, lakini mwananchi ni sababu gani anatembea na bunduki? Na hizo bunduki anakeuka na kuua mwenzake.
Speaking in Isiolo County after chairing a series of meetings with the county security teams, civil society organizations and elders from the 4 counties, Eastern Regional Commissioner Isaiah Nakoru claimed illegal firearms in civilian hands, especially among the pastoralist communities in the 4 counties, are the biggest threat to peace in the region.
Tuko na askari ya kutosha. Wakati huu wananchi hawana sababu ya kuwa na bunduki haramu, kwa sababu tuko na maafisa wa kutosha kila mahali.
And finally, in Thika, Kiambu County, police are investigating the death of 2 university students whose bodies were found in Aroma. According to the neighbors, the man could have killed his girlfriend before he hanged himself.
Mapili tulikuwa nao jioni. So jana ndo hawakufungua mlango. Unaona? Na ilikuwa asubuhi, so hatungejua, tukadhani maybe wamelala bado.
Yeye ndo kigombana hata siku moja. Ndio wanatokanga nje, wanafua nguo pamoja, wanaishi pamoja kama bibi na bwana, hata usiku wanapika pamoja. Hivi hata wanakuja kutembelea hata kwetu sometimes, wanakuja hapa kwetu tunakaa tunashare.
The 2 were Mount Kenya University students. Hilary Kipkurui, 29 years, was taking engineering course, while her sister Chepkogei, 24 years, was in her 4th year doing hospitality and were last seen together on Sunday.
Elsewhere, hundreds of households in Marachi Central Ward, Butula Sub-County are set to benefit from a water project courtesy of Mozart Betting Company. The project that targets to provide water to underprivileged communities in 47 counties will bring relief to over 2,000 residents of Marachi Ward and its environs.
At least 400 families in Marachi Central Ward, Butula Sub-County will now enjoy clean water owing to a water project that aims at drilling boreholes and installing solar panels to help address water needs of the community. Residents, led by their area member of County Assembly, Patrick Obuya, have lauded the initiative, saying it is vital in ensuring proper sanitation.
Soko hii ya Murumba katika Butula Sub-County is second largest kwa Bumala. Unapata ya kwamba haikuwa na maji. Kwa hivyo Masat Kenya wametusaidia kabisa kutuleta maji hapa.
Tunanunua maji mahali inaitwa huko chini kabisa, ni around 1 kilometer maji ilikuwa inakuja hapa. So unajua ukilipa maji tulikuwa tunaenda gharama mingi sana kwa msimu wa corona. Pia expenses ilikuwa juu sana. So we can't survive vile tulikuwa vile.
Kibuyu lita ya 20 tulikuwa tunanunua, kama maji imekuishia unanunua. Kuosha, kupika na kuosha mboka yetu tukiuza hapa.
Project manager Norbert Odhiambo said that the project targets areas that are in dire need of water.
We normally drill boreholes to help the community members. In line with the spread of COVID-19, the borehole will be the first line defense, because we know washing hands is the first line of defense to minimize the spread of corona.
For Chanwa News, I'm Nisi Imano Okoth.
Further afield, heavy gunfire has been heard in the area around Niger's presidential palace, which houses the presidential offices and residence in Niamey. The shooting took place less than 48 hours ahead of the inauguration of newly elected President Mohamed Bazoum.
Local residents said the gunfire was heard around 3 a.m. local time, and it lasted at least 15 minutes before stopping, followed by a small arms fire. There has been increasing attacks by militant armed groups as well as political tensions in the country following Bazoum's victory in February's presidential election. His challenger and former President Mahaman Osman, who lost in the runoff, has rejected the results and denounced a court ruling affirming the results. Elsewhere, Brazil's far-right president, who came to power 2 years ago, has consistently opposed quarantine measures, arguing that the damage to the economy would be worse than the effects of the coronavirus itself. Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro is facing the biggest crisis of his presidency after the heads of the Army, Navy and Air Force all quit, and the country recorded its highest COVID-19 daily death toll. Bolsonaro's popularity has plummeted over his response to COVID-19, with nearly 314,000 death cases and a new daily record of 3,780 on Tuesday. There have been more than 12.5 million confirmed cases. The unprecedented resignation of the defense chiefs is being seen as a protest at attempts by Bolsonaro to exert undue control over the military. On Monday, the president was forced to reshuffle his cabinet after his foreign and defense ministers both quit.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mlitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 199 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Welcome back. Elsewhere, most Kenyans are not amused with the regular borrowing of national government from foreign countries. A 3-day survey conducted by Infotrack Kenya on a sample size of 800 adult respondents indicates 62% of the population do not support the foreign borrowing trend, claiming the proceeds fuel corruption. 81% of those interviewed are angered with the level of debt according to the survey. Kenyans from regions of Nyanza, Western, Eastern and Northeastern are the most anxious about the level of Kenya's foreign debt. 36% of the population, however, support the regular borrowing by the government. Now, insurance companies will compensate you if you are involved in an incident during curfew hours. This is according to the Insurance Regulatory Authority CEO Godfrey Kiptum, who says insurance cover is on a 24-hour basis during the entire period of the cover. The remarks come in the wake of a statement by the Kenya Professional Insurance Agents that had suggested insurance claims will not be rendered unacceptable if one is involved in an accident while driving past curfew hours without a permit.
The Kenya Professional Insurance Agents released communication suggesting that insurance claims would be unacceptable if one is involved in an accident when driving past curfew hours without a permit. This has been dismissed by the insurance regulator, with the Insurance Regulatory Authority CEO Godfrey Kiptum saying it is incorrect.
Nobody can exclude coverage because you are driving past curfew hours.
Kiptum says as per approved and standardized motor insurance policy documents, driving past and during curfew hours is not an exclusion in the current covers.
I want to set the record straight that insurance cover is provided on a 24-hour basis, 5 days in a year, so long as you have a valid contract with your insurance company.
IRA further clarifies it has not received any request to vary the terms and conditions of motor vehicle insurance to include curfew requirements.
No one has made any application to change in the wake of COVID-19 measures, starting last year in March 2020 to date.
He says for those found contravening COVID-19 containment measures, relevant law enforcement agencies will take the necessary action.
It's also important to also inform citizens that they need to obey government directives on curbing COVID-19, and measures have been put in place by government, and we want to encourage everybody to obey those laws.
The regulator says of the 56 licensed insurance companies in Kenya, over 40 of them have complied with the new risk-based capital requirements, whose deadline was end of December last year.
Elsewhere, Kenyans on average sent 12.2 billion shillings daily between October and December last year on the mobile money transfer platform. This is according to the latest quarterly report from the Communications Authority of Kenya that indicates that person-to-person money transfer volumes during the last 3 months of 2020 grew 22.1% to 871.4 million transfers.
More and more Kenyans are opting to use mobile money services to transact, according to data from Communication Authority of Kenya. Person-to-person transaction hit 1.03 trillion shillings during the last 3 months of 2020. The total deposit in money wallets grew 24% to 1.1 trillion shillings, while money transfers to the government also increased 6.5% to hit 13.18 billion shillings. Business-to-business mobile money transfer registered the highest value, with the transfer hitting 1.7 trillion shillings from 1.336 trillion shillings during the previous quarter. The number of active mobile subscribers as at 31st December 2020 stood at 61.4 million, representing an increase of 2.6% from the preceding quarter. Subsequently, mobile phone penetration grew by 3.3 percentage points to stand at 129.1% as at end of 2020. The total local mobile voice traffic grew by 8.2% to 19.7 billion minutes, which has been attributed to promotions by telecos aimed at availing new subscribers with attractive voice and data bundle offers. This comprised of 43.8 million wireless subscriptions and 572,000 fixed subscriptions. Subscribers with a speed range of 2 Mbps to 10 Mbps recorded the highest subscription share of 57.3%, whereas subscribers of the range speed of at least 100 Mbps recorded the least percentage share of 0.4% of the total fixed subscriptions. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
At least 75% of hotel bookings for Easter in the Masai Mara were cancelled immediately after government announced restricted movements in 5 counties. Narok County Governor Samuel Oletunai says the latest movement restriction in parts of the country has come at a time when tourists were starting to flock into Kenya for the Easter holiday.
Narok Governor Samuel Oletunai says those in the travel and hospitality industry are staring at job losses after the announcement of the latest COVID-19 containment measures that restrict movement in 5 counties as well as longer curfew hours.
Mara was full for Easter. And immediately they said with the lockdown, there were cancellations. And with cancellations, you know, as usual, the hotels loses money. The next thing is there are no jobs.
He has pledged to lobby to have tourists who are in the country and had already booked to be allowed to move and follow the health protocols in an effort to support the travel hospitality industry.
So that is negotiated. But again, many tourists, the moment they hear that you are under lockdown, most of them just cancel. You know, they are not just ready to come and negotiate and all that. So immediately there was a lockdown. I can say 70-80% of the tourists just canceled.
Tunai, who chairs the Tourism Committee of the Council of Governors, is also calling on Kenyans to adhere to the COVID-19 containment measures to save lives.
So, on one hand, the government is trying to save life, but on the other hand is the economic. So, trying to balance the two. The government looks at life. That's what you try to save.
And in sports, Chelsea midfielder Mason Mount is in line to start for England for the 8th game in a row after shaking off an injury ahead of tonight's World Cup qualifier match against Poland. Meanwhile, Brighton's Leandro Trossard and Leicester's Dennis Praet scored their first Belgium goals in a crushing 8-0 win over Belarus, while Netherlands secured a 7-0 win over Gibraltar.
Netherlands ended the international period with a comfortable